it's interesting how we human beings create proximity between each other and how positive emotions are triggered in us. And it seems the main mechanism for this is narrative. So, in other words, when we are not facing the other side as a human being, just as a human being, but when we're basically substituting their humanity with symbolism, we're substituting them for something else. We're taking them to be somebody else, to mean something. The moment the other person or an event means something to us, it actually evokes emotions, and those can be emotions ranging from from anger, fear, to excitement, love, and commitment. But when we can't place the other or an event into a narrative, we experience the opposite, namely indifference. It doesn't ping out and stand out as a relevant event for us at all. And this is something we can observe even with the suffering of people. There have been studies how when the suffering of others is just a number, the higher the number doesn't really correlate with us being more agitated about it, but actually more not really being able to process it at all as something that's relevant for our personal lives. And this is really weird. There have been studies around this, how the bigger the number, it doesn't really elevate our level of shock when we hear about the suffering of other people. While on the other hand, if you have something like an image which really burns itself into you, had like that one child who was drowned a few years ago, the migrant child. The moment you have something like that, this is something that brings you much closer to the experience of it. The same thing I think we can observe in current conflicts, when you feel close to the conflict narratively, when you feel that you figured out who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, who's to blame, who is to be responsible, your relationship to the suffering of the people also changes, and your relationship to those people suffering injustice is different. You feel different emotions from your relationship to people who are suffering from car accidents, for example. Even though they might be the bigger number than people dying in a specific conflict, you feel more for the people dying in the conflict than those in the accident. So narrative here, again, it seems to trump pretty much everything else, even personal experience. When you think about it, we usually in our everyday life assume that personal experience is the one thing that trumps narrative. So when you've spent time together and when you've suffered with somebody else, or as Hunter Biden puts it, suffering brings us together. When you've spent time with other people, it seems that even if you, in case you disagree with them on major issues, you still can feel bonding, you still can feel connection with them. And this is something that seems to transcend the narrative level, in the sense that you don't have to agree with those people to feel for them and to feel them as a relevant part of your life, even though you are not sharing even the same worldview. But the issue here is that if you were to lose your memory, so if you were to lose your memory of having experienced those moments together, this person would again become irrelevant to you. You would then still lose your connection to the person. So at the end of the day, I think narrative is always necessary. You always need to be able to place someone somewhere as relevant in your personal life to actually be able to experience certain kinds of emotions towards that person. I think this is, unfortunately, the human condition. It is the human condition to, in other words, kind of not treat others and see others as just human, but to see them as symbolizing, or to be a symbol as part of a narrative for them to become relevant to you as a human being. That's the really tragic condition we human beings find ourselves in.